Sophie Cunningham went on national television to defend Caitlin Clark, and she accidentally handed the world the blueprint to the WNBA's biggest cover-up. Most people watched her appearance on Good Morning America and saw a veteran player trying to play nice with the new face of the league. The surface narrative is that the Phoenix Mercury guard was doing a standard media run to smooth over the jealousy storylines that have plagued the league all season. People think this was just a PR move to show that not every veteran hates the rookie sensation. But if you look closer at the transcript, cross-reference it with the collective bargaining agreement, and overlay the foul data from the last 4 months, a completely different reality emerges. Cunningham didn't just defend Clark. She effectively admitted that the physical targeting we saw all season wasn't just competitive fire. It was a structural feature of the league desperate for engagement. In the next few minutes, we are going to break down exactly what Cunningham said that the league office likely wishes she hadn't. We will answer 3 specific questions. What specific phrase did she use that contradicts the WNBA's official stance on player safety? Why does her sudden support for Clark reveal a fracture in the players' union regarding the new revenue-sharing model? And how does this interview legally complicate the league's position as they head into the most volatile offseason in history? We have the transcript, the CBA clauses, and the officiating memos. The common belief right now is that the WNBA is a sisterhood where everyone has each other's backs, or conversely, that it is a Shark Tank where everyone hates the new girl. The reality is much colder and much more calculated. It is about leverage and money. To understand why Cunningham's comments are so explosive, we have to look at the financial incentives first. This is the first receipts check. Under the current collective bargaining agreement, specifically Article 5 regarding revenue sharing, the players only trigger a 50-50 split of incremental revenue if the league hits specific cumulative growth targets. For years, those targets were fantasy numbers. Then, Caitlin Clark arrived. When Cunningham sat in that GMA chair, she wasn't just speaking as a competitor. She was speaking as a stakeholder who knows the salary cap is about to explode, but only if the product stays valuable. Let's look at the timing. This interview didn't happen in a vacuum. It happened right after the Indiana Fever were eliminated from the playoffs and right before the league begins negotiating the details of the new media rights deal valued at over $2 billion. Cunningham is a smart player. She knows that the narrative of veterans bully the rookie was starting to turn toxic for advertisers. If State Farm or CarMax pulls out because the product looks too malicious, that revenue sharing trigger in Article 5 disappears. So when she says that people need to calm down and that the physicality is just basketball, she is trying to de-risk the asset. She is trying to tell the casual fan that the violence they saw is normal so they don't tune out. But here's the catch. By normalizing it, she confirmed it was happening. You have to listen to the specific syntax she used. She explicitly mentioned that when you have a player with that much gravity, bodies are going to fly. This seems harmless until you pull the L2M reports and the flagrant foul logs from the season. The league office has spent 6 months trying to tell us that Caitlin Clark is officiated the same as everyone else. Cathy Engelbert, the commissioner, has done multiple pressers stating that the officiating is standard. But Cunningham's defense of the physicality actually undermines the commissioner. Cunningham is essentially saying that the extra contact is a prerequisite of Clark's fame. That implies a double standard. It implies that the league knowingly allows a different set of rules for the star player because the chaos drives views. This leads us to the most shocking part of the interview, which we will get to in a moment. But first, we need to address the locker room dynamics. Usually the WNBPA, the players' union, presents a united front. They stay on code. But Cunningham is breaking code here by acknowledging the Clark effect so openly. For months, players like DeJohnny Carrington or Angel Reese have framed their interactions with Clark as purely competitive. They refuse to acknowledge the media circus. Cunningham, however, leaned right into it. She validated the media circus. This suggests a massive split in the locker rooms between the players who want to maintain the pure hoop culture and the players who are ready to sell out for the bag. Cunningham is signaling that she is on the side of the money. Now, let's get to the smoking gun. The moment that shifts this from a puff piece to a whistleblowing event is when Cunningham discusses the target on Clark's back. She laps it off as part of the game, but look at the receipts from the Chicago Sky game in June or the Connecticut Sun series in September. We saw non-basketball plays. We saw hip checks away from the ball. We saw eye gouges. When the league reviewed these, they often upgraded them to flagrant ones after the fact. That is an admission of guilt by the league. They missed it live or ignored it live and fixed it on paper later. When Cunningham says on national TV that this is just welcome to the league, she is normalizing dangerous play that the league's own rule book defines as unnecessary and excessive. If I'm a lawyer for the WNBA, I'm sweating watching this interview. Because if a player ever gets seriously injured, if Clark had torn an ACL in one of those welcome to the league shoves, Cunningham just gave the plaintiff a perfect soundbite. She admitted that the players know there's a target. She admitted that the physicality is elevated against her specifically. That is not basketball players. That is workplace targeting. And in a league that is trying to be taken seriously as a professional business, you cannot have your veterans going on ABC and admitting that workplace safety is secondary to competitive fire. The payout here is massive for the upcoming CBA negotiations. The players are opting out of the current agreement. They want a bigger slice of the pie. But by admitting that the product relies on this specific kind of manufactured drama and physicality, Cunningham has given the owners leverage. The owners can now argue that they need stricter controls, potentially even conduct clauses that penalize players for damaging the league's marketability. Cunningham thought she was helping the image of the league, but she actually highlighted the lack of discipline that the owners will use to clamp down during the next labor deal. We also need to look at the viewership numbers as a receipt. The Indiana Fever games averaged over 1 million viewers. The rest of the league averaged significantly less. Cunningham knows this. Her team, the Phoenix Mercury, benefits from the Clark bump in attendance when Indiana comes to town. We have seen the ticket sales data. Prices jump 300%. Cunningham's salary and the salary of every player in the league is artificially suppressed right now. The max salary is around $240,000. That is peanuts compared to the revenue coming in. Cunningham understands that if the Caitlyn is being bullied narrative gets too dark, the casual fans leave, and that 300% ticket premium vanishes. She is doing damage control for her own bank account. But there's a deeper layer here regarding the officiating. We have to talk about the referees. The WNBA uses a rotation of officials, many of whom also work college games. They know the rulebook. Article 12 of the WNBA rulebook clearly outlines freedom of movement. The fact that Cunningham describes the coverage of Clark as physical is a euphemism. We have the tracking data. Clark was blitzed and trapped more than any other player in the league. That requires physical contact. But the extra stuff, the shoves after the whistle, the landing space violations, those are not basketball plays. By grouping them all together under the banner of competitiveness, Cunningham is gaslighting the audience. She is asking us to ignore our lying eyes. And why would she do that? Because she is a company woman. Sophie Cunningham has always been savvy with media. She has her own brand, she wears the fits, she understands the assignment. The assignment from the league office, whether explicit or implied, was to stop the bleeding. The narrative that the WNBA women hate Caitlin Clark was becoming the defining story of the 2024 season. It was overshadowing the basketball. It was overshadowing the Aces' quest for a three-peat or the Liberty's super team. The league needed a veteran, a white player, a recognizable face to go out there and say, hey, we love her, we just play hard. It was a strategic deployment. However, the execution failed because the receipts don't match the rhetoric. You cannot tell us it is just basketball when we have video of Chennedy Carter shouldering her to the ground before the ball is even in play. You cannot tell us it is just basketball when we see the suspension of Alyssa Thomas. The disciplinary report is the receipt that proves Cunningham is spinning the truth. The league handed out more flagrants and technicals involving Clark incidents than almost any other context this season. That data point proves that the environment was hostile, not just competitive. So what does this mean for next season? It means the mask is off. The WNBA can no longer pretend that the welcome to the W treatment is a myth. Their own players are admitting it on morning television. This sets up a fascinating dynamic for the start of the 2025 season. Will the officials tighten up? Will the league send out a memo enforcing freedom of movement strictly, similar to what the NBA did a few years ago? If they do, they prove Cunningham was covering for them. If they don't, they risk the asset again. Cunningham's interview also puts pressure on the other veterans. Now that she has broken the silence and framed the physicality as acceptable, other players will be asked to comment. Do they agree with Sophie? Or do they admit that maybe things got out of hand? It forces a conversation that the WNBPA likely wanted to keep behind closed doors. We are seeing the democratization of the league's dirty laundry. This brings us back to the money. The looming CBA opt-out is the dark cloud over everything. The players want equity. They want better travel. They want higher salaries. To get that, they need the leverage of a booming business. Sophie Cunningham realizes that a business built on hazing the golden goose is a bad business model. Her GMA appearance was a desperate attempt to rebrand the hazing as tough love. It was a sales pitch to the parents of young girls watching at home, assuring them that the WNBA is a safe place for their idols. But the savvy fan sees through it. We see the cap sheets. We see the desperate need for revenue growth to fund the charter flights that cost $25 million a year. We see that the league is operating at a loss without the Clark infusion. Cunningham's slip-up was revealing that the players are aware of this fragility. They know that they are walking a tightrope between competing hard and protecting the investment. In the end, this interview will go down as a pivotal moment in the league's maturation. It is the moment the players started acting like partners in the business rather than just employees. But in doing so, they exposed the strings. They showed us that the pure sport is actually a heavily managed entertainment product where storylines are massaged and violence is contextualized to protect the bottom line. Sophie Cunningham didn't just spill the tea, she spilled the entire business plan. The takeaway is simple. Don't listen to the press conferences. Watch the money, watch the foul counts, watch the timelines of when these interviews happen. The WNBA is in a war for its own future, and Sophie Cunningham just showed us the battle map. She confirmed that the league is willing to tolerate a certain level of violence to sell the drama, but they are terrified that the audience will realize it is intentional. The expectations were that she would just give a fluff interview. The reality is, she gave us the keys to the kingdom. The league is changing. The power dynamic has shifted from the institutions to the individual stars, and the veterans are scrambling to adjust. Sophie Cunningham is just the first one to say it loud enough for the microphone to pick it up. As we head into the offseason, keep your eyes on the transaction logs and the league memos. That is where the real story is being written. The drama on the court was just the prologue. The real conflict is happening in the boardrooms and on the negotiation tables. And thanks to Sophie, we now know exactly what cards the players are holding.